Welcome to the Video Wizards podcast. I'm ready.
Greetings, time travelers, and welcome to Video Wizards, a podcast about the arcade games of the 1980s and 1990s and their cultural context by two survivors of the scene. My name is Ben Cartlidge, and with me, as always, is Michiel Kroder.
Hi.
Each month, we look back at what came out or what was popular in that very month in a random year for the last 2 decades of the 20th century. We'll look at what was going on in arcades, restaurants, pubs, cafes and snack bars and fish and chip shops to house the games that we played, but also what was going on in the world around, all from our very own Western European perspective.
Exactly. And if you haven't been listening to Video Wizards yet, it's become quite a thing over the 2 years now that we've been doing this, right?
Yeah. As soon as you said 2 years then, I was like, wow, it can't be right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
We started in 2020, right before the world went in lockdown.
Yeah, the whole world closed.
Yeah.
Wow.
That first episode, we were still blissfully unaware of what was about to come.
Yeah. Both in the world and us creating all these all these strange cultural tropes.
Yeah. Yeah. Which we never saw coming, to be fair, right?
No.
It was always the idea to just start talking about arcade games. There's a lot of video game podcasts around, of course, but not too many that are more focused and specialized on arcade gaming, which is something both you and me have a lot of affinity with, of course. I started my infatuation with video games in the arcades because I didn't have a TV at home, I didn't have a video game system.
Yeah.
So it was the magic of those CRT screens and those big cabinets with the sticks and the buttons and just, the whole idea that you could control the action that was happening behind the glass of the monitor, with button presses and all that. That's a sort of magic that has never really stopped fascinating me.
Yeah, same. And you might recognize it if you're in the UK or maybe in Europe as well. The name Video Wizards itself comes from, we talked about where you play your arcade games. Maybe you're in an arcade, but a lot of times you'll be in other locations like leisure centres or chip shops or taxi ranks or snooker halls or whatever. And in the UK, the Video Wizards was a very popular brand of kind of a default kind of cab. So it was like a template cab that you could fit an arcade board and a monitor in. Yeah. And it's funny because if you didn't live in a massive town with a massive arcade, you still might get the opportunity to play the games. But if you're playing it in playing an arcade in a chip shop, it's unlikely they're going to shell out. And I mean, like thousands for an official kind of cabinet. What they're probably going to do is get something that'll run everything and just change the games out every now and again. And the iconic Video Wizards machines were blue and black. I don't know if they did a six button kind of edition, but the ones I always saw were kind of blue and black, with like big blue and black planets across the top that said Video Wizards. Yeah. And then you had 2 sticks with 3 buttons next to him on a kind of triangle, and kind of a right angle triangle. Yeah. With a player 1 and a player 2 start button in the middle, and like it symbolizes what we're kind of all about, really, in the fact that most people, if you weren't there in a big town, your memories of these arcades aren't going to be like the people who lived in the capital cities who could see these machines all the time. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that your memories aren't especial, because you could have been playing the same games just in this kind of different form, and that's the whole kind of thing with it, really. There's stuff that's maybe a bit more kind of off the beaten track and a bit more niche. Exactly. It's still the big games, but it's our kind of perspective on them, really.
Yeah, and we're not about just rattling off all the facts about a game and their development and everything. It's very much about our personal connection with these games and what they meant to us. And as we said already, also how they related to the world around us, in the 1980s and the 1990s. So I said that the show is focused around arcade games, but we also frame it with discussion of what was going on in the world, as far as news went, as far as what music was playing in the charts, as far as what movies were playing in the theaters, to give it that cultural context that we mentioned before. And yeah, that very personal connection. And that means also that it's not just about the two of us, but also, about your memories. Like, write us in every time about the games we'll be discussing and about whatever else was going on in the world around that time. This is all like very much like an effort from a lot of people and a community effort as well.
Exactly. Yeah, community is the right word. Like it's a real kind of collective.
Yeah.
We get so many people who write us and they'll say about when we announce that we're doing a certain show based around a certain time. We get a lot of correspondence from people saying about I did this and this time, and you know what? Like a lot of the time, it's great that it isn't necessarily related specifically to the arcade games. That's the important thing of creating this time capsule.
Yeah.
This kind of cultural environment where people can say, oh yeah, I remember. March 1986 or whatever. That was when I was leaving high school, and I remember that song being in the charts or that film being in the cinemas.
Yeah.
Like it helps people. Kind of frame what we're doing in a kind of cultural, in a cultural timeline in a lot of respects. And you remember these games that you played, or maybe you don't, but maybe you remember more about the time and what was happening.
Yeah.
And it helps kind of construct the whole thing, really.
Yeah. Yeah, and throughout the course of doing this, all these little random memories and random bits of information really started worming their way into our psyche, which is why there's this whole sort of like Video Wizard deep lore now with all these obscure references.
Exactly.
That only listeners of the show will get, of course, because they keep popping up throughout our conversations, and never fail to amuse us, and probably also never fail to amuse our listeners.
No, this is it, and just it's how random they all are.
Yeah.
That's the best part of it. But that's what happens when you're creating I don't know, like a cultural kind of you're creating some kind of cultural tapestry, so to speak.
Wow, yeah.
Breaking out a tapestry there.
They're like the Bayeux tapestry.
There you go, you see.
Yeah.
But kind of Dutch.
With Ruud Lubbers riding a horse.
There you go.
Yeah.
Full of Dutch politicians and MSX games.
That's it. Yeah, and so that's a little bit about what we do, about our podcast. So yeah, if you haven't listened to our show yet, feel free to check out a few episodes on videowizardspodcast.com or your Apple Podcast app or your Google apps. But for everyone that's already on board, we have a little bit of an announcement in regards to setting up a Patreon subscription, right?
Yeah, we have indeed. And like you said there just previously about any of your Google Podcasts, any of your Android podcast apps of choice or iTunes, we're also on TuneIn as well, which is the podcast app on the Amazon Alexa.
Yeah.
So if you've got an Alexa and you want to listen to us, if you just shout out Alexa, play the Video Wizards podcast, then she'll do that as well. I'm a big fan of that, to be honest. Yeah, that's a really big deal for me.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, we're not on Spotify because our files are just too big for Spotify.
Can't handle us.
We don't want to compromise, we don't want to downgrade the quality, the recordings and the length and just the audio quality either.
No, not at all. That's not what we're about. But you made an interesting announcement there, and it's something I'll go on and talk about now. Patreon. It's something that we've been talking about kind of for a while, because if you've listened to the show, you'll understand how long these podcasts are, the amount of work that kind of goes into them. It's a lot of work, but it's a real passion project, But each episode's kind of quite long. We've been doing one episode per month of a year before, but for the last couple, we've done kind of seasonal episodes, which overtake kind of 3 months. So we've been doing a seasonal, basically, so a winter or a spring or a summer or something. And those episodes have been in the neighborhood of 7 hours, which is crazy. So much work, but so incredible to listen to kind of the whole thing, really.
Yeah.
And what we wanted to do with Patreon, because we've had people ask about it, is to give people a chance to put something into the show, because they've asked about how can we kind of help out,
Yeah, already from the beginning, right? And the reason why we hadn't done it until 2 years in is because we felt like we needed to be able to offer listeners something extra.
Exactly. And that's the kind of whole point, really. So what we're doing with Patreon, and we've already kind of got it set up, it's over on patreon.com/video wizards, which is really good. I was happy to get that one.
Yeah. Luckily, that wasn't taken yet.
Exactly. We're there's literally kind of one tier. We might add to it in future, but at the start, what we want is just a set amount which people can kind of chip in. At the moment, it is going to be at the low price of £3 a month, which is phenomenal, really. Like, that's not a lot of money at all.
No, unless you convert it to guilders, of course.
Guilders, yeah, it's £3 a month or 700,000 guilders. Yet another in joke. But the whole thing we want to stress, we've said this a couple of times with Patreon, is if you're a fan of the show and you love listening to the episodes, but Patreon maybe isn't for you, it's not a problem. Nothing changes for you, You're not going to get any less of a product kind of now.
No.
The shows will still kind of go out as they have done before. The way you take this media on board, the way you kind of ingest Video Wizards doesn't have to change. But if you're somebody who wants to kind of, you like kind of Patreon and kind of how it works, and once again, it ties in with deep Video Wizards lore. That one tier is called Imperially Dignified.
Yeah.
After the Star Wars toy Imperial Dignitary, who made an appearance in the very first ever episode of
Yeah.
of Video Wizards,
And has never been far away since.
he's never gone away, has he?
No.
The Imperial Dignitary, bless him.
Yeah, he's always working behind the scenes,
Yeah, this is well. He's not on the front line. That's the whole point.
Exactly.
Geezer's got a lot of admin to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, for this low price, there's a few things that you're gonna get. You're gonna get early access to every episode of the Video Wizards podcast before general release. We haven't worked out a time frame yet regarding how early it'll be, but it is going to be kind of an early release thing, which I think is a nice kind of perk. So you can get your fix kind of a bit earlier.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll give everybody who signs up on Patreon a shout out on every episode of the Video Wizards podcast that we do. Normally, at the end, what we do is we list the people who've contributed to that episode, if they've sent us emails or memories or tweets or whatever. Kind of at the end, after a section on that, we'll have a roll call to the fantastic folks on Patreon. Mm-hmm. But also, and perhaps the biggest kind of benefit of Patreon is that you will get access to exclusive Video Wizards podcasts that are only going to be available on Patreon. Now, these aren't going to be in the same format as the regular ones, in terms of these not going to be like a month of a certain time that we're going to do.
No.
What we're going to do with these is we're going to take on bits of Video Wizards lore and kind of deep dive into them, really. I try and research and look at more and have kind of some fun with a lot of the niche elements that continually pop up in these podcasts and that have inevitably got a bit of a cult following for me,
Yeah. Started leading a life of their own.
Yeah, that's the thing. Honestly, now, I don't think I can say the word dynamic without laughing.
No.
And the funniest thing is, right, if I go onto the Video Wizards podcast feed and I just pick one at random, I can anchor where it is in relation to if we laugh at the word dynamic or not.
Yeah.
If we don't laugh at dynamic, it's fairly early.
Yeah.
If we're laughing at dynamic, it's post-dynamic ski.
Yeah.
That's kind of,
The world pre-dynamic ski and the world post-dynamic ski.
that's it, isn't it? Like, I love how we started this and we were like, yeah, well, before the pandemic. No, that's not the biggest marker here.
No.
Pre or post-dynamic ski.
That's it.
That's the kind of one.
Yeah.
So literally, how Patreon works is the link will kind of be out there. But like I say, it's patreon.com/Video Wizards. Literally, all you do is you'll click on that. There's just one button where it says join. You'll do that. Click on that. On another Patreon account I run with One Credit Classics, it'll ask for kind of a payment method. Most of the people use kind of PayPal or something like that, but a few other people just get it out the kind of bank.
Yeah.
And basically all it does, or you can specify the time actually. A lot of the times, the start of the month, it will just take your £3 out.
Yep.
And then basically at the end of every month, Patreon then take a cut out of that. Of course they do. And then it gets sent to us. And the primary thing for us is what we want to do with this is it allows us to, a couple of things really. One, help with the running costs of everything, with sites and URLs and a lot of other bits and pieces that we incur.
Hosting heavy audio files.
Yeah, exactly. But also it gives us an opportunity to kind of be able to bring kind of other people on, really, and help us out with some of the heavy lifting kind of, really, that we've I say we, it's you mainly.
No. You do a ton of preparation work and research. You do more there than I do. yeah, it's always you and me, but it's exactly like you say. I mean, the editing is very time intensive, and I pretty
Yeah.
much had to drop all other activities while I do it, which means if we wouldn't do this, if we wouldn't be able to bring somebody on board and let them share in some of the Patreon revenue, we would not have been able to do extra shows either, because yeah, this takes up both of our time quite substantially already, you know?
Exactly. And that's the kind of thing with him.
Exactly, and that is why this is so exciting, because doing this Patreon actually helps us to do more extra things now, you know? So it works both ways.
Yeah, it gives a lot more opportunities, really.
Yeah.
What we wanted to do with doing this is, obviously we wanted people who want to listen to the show, their experience to kind of still be the same, but also we wanted the opportunity to do more stuff, you know? Because the one thing that we both say about doing Video Wizards is it's just so much fun, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like such a laugh.
Yeah.
The whole process from start to finish
Yeah.
is fun and exciting to put together, and I'm always dead excited when a new podcast gets released, so I can hear the finished thing. You know, it's a real kind of it's a real joy to be part of, and
It's like this thing, you know, as a parent, you can't imagine your life before having kids anymore. As a creator of co-creator of Video Wizards, I can't imagine my life without Video Wizards anymore.
I know what you mean. I'm exactly the same, to be honest. Like, I really look forward to doing this, and
Yeah.
I'm happy that we've got something like this that'll give us an opportunity to do this more. Basically,
Yeah.
that's the motivation behind kind of doing this. We just want to kind of we just want to do more of it, you know.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the best way to achieve that, really.
Yeah, that's really it. And by the time you're hearing this, our first Patreon exclusive podcast should be up, right?
Yeah, we should kind of have that. So like, because the shows are longer and because we have been doing this for a while, there's just archives of hilariously niche kind of things that lend themselves so well. Maybe not to like a fuller kind of show, but these Patreon exclusive kind of podcasts will kind of have a different kind of format.
Yeah.
So that they're perfect for that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we like to go off on random niche tangents on the actual show. But yeah, this is taking it to another level, you know? This is like fully focused on tangents.
Exactly. This is a tangent-based product.
Exactly. It's a guidance of sorts, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, we want to thank you for listening to Video Wizards and for supporting us through the years. And yeah, hopefully you'll consider subscribing and helping us put more content out there. And if you've already liked what we've done before, I'm sure you'll like these extra podcast episodes as well.
Definitely. This is kind of this is exciting because it's the start of the next chapter of Video Wizards, you know. And it's, for me personally, like it's really exciting to see where we can take this strange old boat, you know.
Exactly. So yeah, this has been a Patreon announcement minicast of Video Wizards. This is me, Michiel,
And me, Ben.
collectively known as the Video Wizards, signing off yet once again. Take care. Follow us at the Video Wizards Spot on Twitter to keep updated on all things Video Wizards and details of when our next episode comes out.